Good evening, everyone. This is our ninth session on entrepreneurship. So I would like to request Think Again Lab to start the session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. So today we are going to elaborate on the backend side. So on the last session, I don't know how many of you was in the last session. So we discussed about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and what is the front end, what is the client side, and what is the server side thing, right? Now on the last session we focused on the client side technologies, understood what they actually do, how they are related with the web ecosystem, where they are actually playing the game, and today we are going to discuss about the rest of the half part, that is the back end part, the server and the server scripting language and the database, right? Now tell me one thing. I have told it on the last day. What is client? Who is the client? In the client server topology, who is the client? You can comment your answer on the chat section. So maybe a few of you were in the last session, I can guess. So you can actually answer this thing. Who is the client? Even if you are not there, you can actually answer arbitrary, give your arbitrary answer, so that we can understand how many of you really know this concept. Otherwise I have to go through it. Yeah, Shivangi is saying it's browser. Fantastic. So the client is nothing but in macroscopical view, the client can be a human, a robot, a bot. Many people can be, many things can be client. But actually a client for the web, the server, client server topology, the client is nothing but the browsers, right? Now browser or any application which is actually connecting with the internet. Now this client is connecting with what? How this client is getting all the data? This client is getting connected with the server, right? So server is a centralized repository system where we are putting our backend scripting codings, as well as the database where we are storing the data, right? Now what is the purpose of this backend scripting language? What is the purpose of this backend scripting language? And can anybody give me one two example of this backend scripting language? Anybody? What is the backend scripting language? You can also type no, so that I can understand you don't know it, so I will explain about it. No, JavaScript is a scripting language, but that's not a back end scripting. That's not a server side. So back end, server side, these are synonyms, right? So back end means server side, and client side, front end, these are synonyms, right? Yeah, somebody said PHP. Absolutely. So PHP is a backend scripting technology or backend scripting language, right? So PHP is a recursive acronym, which means PHP is having its name in the acronym. PHP means pre-hypertext preprocessor, right? PHP pre-hypertext preprocessor. Now this PHP is a backend scripting language. Python. So Python is a technology. Python is a programming language. Specifically, the Django and the Flask framework is actually responsible for the web backend technology in the Python domain, right? Golang also a backend technology. There are several other backend technologies that they are like ASP.NET. That's a Microsoft technology. There is like Django. Okay. There is Spring Boot framework on Java that is also used for backend technology. Now it seems like that this startup ecosystem is booming, new technologies are coming. So why we are still learning web? How many of you really think that this web is going to obsolete? How many of you really think this web is getting obsolete because of these startups and new innovations and all those kind of stuff? How many of you really think that this back-end technology, the web technology, is not that much interesting, as well as that much market demand is there for this technology. How many of you think about it? What do you think? Its market demand is increasing, decreasing, stagnate, what? Because if you are attending the session, you might be either you want to build your own websites, become a freelancer, or you want to get into a job, right? So in that regard, increasing. Why? Ajay Kumar Yadav is saying that the demand of this back-end technology, scripting languages, the front-end technology, the whole web technology is increasing. What is the cause of it? Why the web technology is increasing day by day? Not the whole software industry, but mostly the web technology part, app technology part. These are actually growing fields. Why? Anybody? Why the demand is growing? Any interesting answers? Because you guys are going to be entrepreneurs, as because it is the best medium to reach more people. Okay, anybody else? So actually we are in the verge of digitization, as well as all people are trying to organize disorganized sectors, and that is the booming startup ecosystem. If you look at most of the big successful startup, what they have done, they have actually organized certain unorganized sector that that was seems to be not possible to organize. People didn't care for it, people didn't try it, and some people come into existence and build certain softwares or certain platform, certain software as a service platforms, through which they actually organized a disorganized sector. You can take an example of Ola, Uber, Weo, Mintra, Flipkart. There are several. Facebook, uh, LinkedIn, Twitter, OLX, Quicker, Rent Mojo, all these kind of startup. What is their base? They are actually organizing a disorganized sector, right? Like Flipkart organized the retail sector, Weo organized the hotel hospitality sector, Ola Uber organized the transportation sector, right? That's how with use of these web technologies or app technologies, we can actually organize disorganized sectors. And that's why, even if several other technologies are coming into existence, to build a business upon those things, you need to know or need to implement web technologies. Like if you are actually working on AI to build a product, after you have worked on the creating the models and all those kind of stuff, you need to come to the web technology part to integrate those AI algorithms with the web technology or app technology, so that users can use it, right? So these technologies are actually very much trending right now. But the thing is, why I'm saying all these things, like if you are learning only the core PHP, there is no job. If you are learning only Python, there is no job, right? If you are learning only Java, there is no job. But if you can learn the industry oriented frameworks of these technologies, you can get a job tomorrow morning, right? Like I am finding people who are good with Laravel, right? If you have that skill, I am willing to take you, like after the session, call me up. I will give you a paid internship, right? After a internship selection session, right? If you are got selected, I will offer you a paid internship on a framework that is called Laravel, right? It's a PHP framework. But I'm sure that maybe all of you or most of you don't have any idea of what is Laravel, what is Codeigniter, what is Django, what is Flask, right? So you are expecting that you will go to a training institute, you will learn and get a certificate on PHP, get a certificate on Python, and that is going to help you to land in a job, then you are in a ninth cloud, and that's not going to happen. Because even if you know all the concept of core PHP, it will take 2 to 3 months to let you understand what is Laravel, how to work on Laravel, and make you a Laravel developer. Now, no company will be willing to pay you salary for 3 months without getting any output, because that at that point of time you are getting trained, and we couldn't get any output from you, right? So that's the problem. Where the problem happening is, it's not about unemployment. I am telling you, I am having requirement of animations, 3D designers, and game developers, because we are recently building a like it's going to be a history in India, so we are going to build a game on Indian landscapes, right? So we are actually working on it. It's an Android game. So I need lots of people with skill sets, but those skill sets you are actually acquiring by going to training institutes is not industry oriented, and that's why the problem is happening both in the entrepreneurship world and both in the service world, right? In entrepreneurship world, if you are not coping up with new technologies and building a product that looks like 1990s product, that's not going to sell. So you need to know about all these technologies. Secondly, if you are using core PHP and normal HTML, CSS, and all those kind of stuff, you can never scale up that software. What is scaling up? Do anybody have any idea what is scaling up? Scaling up. What is scaling up? What is the meaning of scaling up? Anybody? New version to some extent, but completely. So it's not like only a new version. There must be something, some other growth related stuff with it. New version is obviously we are creating new versions, but there is also another parameter is growth. Anybody else? To increase something in production. Yeah, 99.99% true. Absolutely. Increasing something in production, that's absolutely true. Along with that, exponential growth of something, exponential growth. So adding new resources, modifying something. So if I just go and use whiteboard, is there any whiteboard option available? Fine. Let me open up another whiteboard. Yeah. So these are two graphs. In this side, so suppose this is time, and this is suppose customer, right? Number of customers. It can be anything else as well. And this is again time. So this is a growth. This is called a growth, right? Because with respect to time, the number of customers are growing. So this is called growth. But what is exponential growth? The exponential growth is like this. Suppose a company is growing in this rate, all of a sudden it happens like this. This is called the exponential growth. This is called scaling up, right? So what happens, what is the problem with scaling up, what happens when we scale up a business, right? So it's not about getting customers. When you are actually scaling up a business, so somebody has written is skilling up. No, it's not skilling up, it's scaling up. I am writing it down. Scaling up. So scaling up means exponentially growth. So suppose you have built something which people used to use, but you are not getting much customers every day, much traffic every day. All of a sudden, for certain medical issues, for certain geographical reasons, for certain political reasons, government reasons, your site started receiving exponential growth of customers. So suppose you are yesterday you were serving 500 people a day, all of a sudden 5 lakh people came to your platform. Now if you need to change the whole system, whole software, the web software you have built to actually accommodate and give a hassle free experience to all these people, and you have to change the whole system, then you will lose time. Like it will take you 10, 15, 1 month, whatever kind of timing is, right? But if you are building certain thing which is actually scalable in short span of time, then that technology is viable for running a startup business, because we never know when the exponential growth is going to come, right? So if we are building something on core PHP, it will be a great pain for us to actually scaling up the business, right? Scaling up the software, and scaling up means the resources, the resource sharing ratio is getting bigger and bigger every day, right? So for that reason, for creating certain software platforms, we call it a software as a service. Do anybody know what is software as a service? Because this is the most important term you need to know today. What is software as a service? And do you know anything else like this? Like we are saying software as a service, any other thing as a service? Any idea? Anybody? Any idea about software as a service or SaaS platform? We call it a SaaS platform. So if you know about it, just try to give me an example and let me know what is this SaaS platform, software as a service. Access the largest market? No, I don't know which answer it is. Maybe it's answer for scaling up. So what is SaaS platform or SaaS software, and example of different kind of SaaS platforms? Okay, so let's do it a self-learning way. Go to Google, search about it, take 3 to 4 minutes, because I never want you to dependent on me. Go to Google, search about it for 3 to 4 minutes, that what is SaaS platform, what is different kind of other as a service products, right? Like there is SaaS, PaaS, IaaS, there are several things, right? So go and understand the thing from Google. No tutorials, nothing like that. It's 3 to 4 minutes. Do your research and come back and say me what is a SaaS. What do you understand from it? Right, 3 to 4 minutes. Right now it's 27, 28, 4:28. We will resume at 4:31, right, or 32. And in this way you will actually develop your attitude to learn by your own self, right? So go and study what is a SaaS platform, right? Yeah. So I got only one answer. No, four answers. Dropbox, IRCTC, WebEx, a method in which software can be accessed online. Yeah. So software as a service in one word, it's a online subscription based software providing services, right? Like we are using WebEx right now, right? So we have to buy a subscription, any depending on trending software. Not any trending software. Software can be two types. One is web-based software, one is desktop-based software. And SaaS platform means in most of the time we understand it's a web-based software, right? Sometimes, like in WebEx, we also can have apps, desktop apps, but mostly cases, it's a web-based software which can be accessed through subscription packages, premium models, and all those kind of stuff. And this is the trending. This is the trending business way of software industry, right? SaaS, because it's my prediction. It's not my prediction. Many people have predicted this thing that in no time we are going to have only monitor in our hands. There will be only internet connection and monitors. There will be no RAM, a small amount of RAM to run the monitor and all those kind of stuff. All the things will be web based, because the thing is, as the data is growing, uh, the CPU cost, the CPU architecture is also growing rapidly, right? And secondly, security. When you are having a data in your computer, it's your responsibility to secure that data. But when you are actually keeping those data in a server, in a reputed server company's server, that is there, so you can buy security plans and all those kind of stuff which will make your thing secure. Secondly, suppose you are having a desktop software and all the data is getting stored in the desktop. Somehow if your desktop is getting crashed, then the problem will be like you will lose all your data. And the most important thing, updates. It will be very difficult to give new updates, new features to your system. And it's not a scalable thing. So SaaS is one of the scalable software product industry that you guys can look for. And that is a very trending field. If even if you want to do freelancing, you want to open up your own company, this is this sector is very important, right? And if we are building SaaS platforms, that cannot be built on top of code PHP. Few reasons are, when you are building something on code PHP, you have to build from scratch, right? Absolutely from no coding, you have to build a whole software. Second problem, when you are writing a PHP code, you are writing in your way, your structure, right? Not the code only, the code, the file structure, the whole structure of the project. You are building it, right? But for making something scalable, that needs to be done in a proper way. We have to use the best practices, and we have to structure the whole project in that way. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to scale, maintain, change, debug, and all those kind of stuff. Thirdly, security. Core PHP is not secure, right? Core PHP is absolutely not secure. So these are the things. There are several other drawbacks of code PHP or code technologies. So what we do, we go for frameworks, right? And a framework is nothing but they are actually using the same language. So the PHP frameworks, we can, and we know about Laravel. Laravel is a PHP framework. Codeignator is a PHP framework. So all these frameworks comes in a proper structure. That's the best practices in the industry, and comes with several plugins that actually help us to build SaaS platform without any hassle. Thirdly, these particular architectures are very much secure. Why secure? Because they are actually using a particular methodology that is making the same programming language more secure. That is called uh, model view controller framework, MVC, model view controller. In case of Python, we say it MVT, model view template, right? So today we are going to explain the model view controller. If you want to know about MVT model view template, you can go to internet and check about it. It's the same thing, just in case of what we calling. So just let me get back to the whiteboard. Just a second. Yeah. Model view controller, right? So here is a little confusion. So when we are saying MVC model view controller, what we are trying to mean as model, that is same to the MVT framework as well. But what we are trying to say as a view in MVC controller, MVC methodology, that is template in MVT methodology. And what we are calling as a controller in MVC, that is view in the MVT framework, right? So this is a little bit confusing because this view and view is having same name, but this view and this view is not same. This view means controller in MVC and this template means view in MVC. I hope it's clear to everybody. It's clear. Just write yes, 2-3 people, so that I can proceed. Yeah, fine. So this MVC framework, how it's actually uh, so how this model view controller framework is making the insecure PHP a secure technology, right? So this model view controller, what is this thing? So from the view name, we can understand this view means the front end, right? So what happens previously, and what I am going to teach you, that is core PHP today, because it's the beginning. So in case of core PHP, what happens? You are actually writing the PHP along with the HTMLs. Maybe sometimes within the HTML you are punching the PHP and all this kind of stuff. So your front end and your back end is actually combined together, right? And how it's actually a problematic thing, because when you are building a SaaS platform, your UI keeps changing. UI means the front end, the designs, the layouts, and all this kind of stuff. Now, if a big software, big SaaS platform is hodgepodged in that way, that PHP, HTML, CSS are actually existing parallelly in same folder structure and all those kind of stuff, you will be get lost. When the software is growing, when you want to change something, when you want to update something, it will be a great problematic work. Secondly, if anybody can hack into your front end system, they can get into your back end system as well, because there is no barriers. Your whole thing, the back end front end technology, are actually living side by side. What happens in model view controller? So let's start with the view part. View means the front end. Maybe it's a HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, whatever kind of thing is, that will stay in the view section. On the other hand, the model section, in case of this MVC framework, even the developer is also not having direct access to the database. In case of core PHP, we are having direct access to the database. But in case of model view controller technology that is implemented in several frameworks, am I not audible? Somebody is saying my voice is not audible. Am I audible? Yeah, so Amit, maybe there will be a problem from your end. Anyways, so this view means all the front end files, right? All the front end pages, designs, and all those kind of stuff. So next is model. What is model? The model is a intermediary technology between the developer or the user and the database. So when we are writing code in Laravel, so Laravel is a PHP framework which is enabled with MVC, which is having the MVC architecture. In case of Laravel, when I try to insert a data in the database or retrieve a data from the database, my code, my backend code is actually interacting with the model, not the database, right? And one thing you have to understand, in most of the cases we got hacked, and the thing that got hacked is database, because all the data is in the database. Nobody wants to hack the front end because there is nothing, there is only static data. All the crucial informations like your credit card details, your usage details, your profile, and all those kind of data are in the database section in the backend, right? Now if my technology is not having direct access to the database, it's more likely that from the front end through the back end, nobody can reach to the databases, right? Thirdly, when we are actually segregating, actually creating this project structure where we are keeping the database designs in models, database connections in the models, we are keeping the front end in the view section, and the controller part. Controller is nothing but the business logic. So business logic means, so you can say that, sir, we are not a business, we are not a BBA guy, MBA guy. Why should we know the business logic? So business logic means when you are building a software that is actually automating a business or a process, right? So we have to understand that business, the different processes is running, the logic behind it, and that's why we call it a business logic. So in the controller part, we have to write the business logic, right? Now let's take an example and understand how this MVC are interrelated and how the data is actually flowing from one end to another end, right? So what happens, everything starts from the view. Suppose you are having a login form or a registration form in the view section, right? You write down, you created the forms and all those kind of stuff. Now you put the data and you click on submit button. What will happen in the MVC architecture? It will go to the route folder. What is the route? Like we get different URLs, right? So suppose this is a URL. Now we have to define in our MVC architecture in Laravel that what URL will redirect you to where, right? Actually, which controller is getting heated, right? Which controller is getting heated when you are calling any kind of URLs, right? With data, without data, or anything like that. So that is called a route. The route is a list of URLs and specific actions against them, right? So whenever we are actually doing something in the front end, in the view part, and submitting the data, it go to route and find out that which particular URL got hit. And according to the written statement, that if this URL is getting called, then you go to this controller and hit this method. Method is nothing but a function, right? And then that particular control, within that controller we write how this data will be go to the model, and from the model to the database, and all those kind of stuff. And that's how the whole MVC architecture works, right? Now let's get to some basic things. These are very advanced things, and it's true thing. If anybody have any experience in Laravel, get in touch with me. You will get a job from tomorrow morning. I badly need Laravel people, but I am not getting, right? So if you have good knowledge in this kind of frameworks, you can reach out to me for internships. uh, or if you really want to get internship, learn these things, then you will surely get internship, not only in my company, in each and every company, every product based, service based companies, right? So let's, okay, just a second. Yeah, first of all we will understand that, okay, package. How we actually start with this backend framework. Like yesterday we have on the last session we have run the HTML, CSS, JavaScript from the file itself, right? If we open the file with the Google Chrome or any browser, we can see the output. But in case of database, in case of backend scripting technology, it's not going to happen. We have to set up a local server setup, and then only we can see the outputs. Otherwise, what will happen? It will just show in the browser all the things written in the file, not the output, all the code written in the file. So let me show you something. Just a second. So suppose, yeah. So this is a PHP file, right? This is a PHP file. If I try to open with Google Chrome, okay, fine. Let me show you the thing. Suppose I'm trying to open this file like that, this, right? See what is happening? We are seeing the list of the files. Now if I click on this, see, we are not getting the output, we are getting the whole code written in this file. Why it's happening? Who can say why it's happening? Why we cannot see the output, rather we can see the whole code of the file? Anybody? Anybody? Why we couldn't see the output? We can only see the whole code. It's not the output. What is the reason behind it? Anybody can answer this thing? Why we couldn't get the output like we are getting in HTML, CSS, JavaScript? No idea. Anybody else? I have already told about this. Okay. So the reason behind it, when we are running a file in Chrome, that is running in Chrome, and Chrome is client side, and this file is a PHP file, right? So the Chrome cannot read it directly until and unless we are creating a local server setup. Now I am going to show you how to create the local server setup and what is a local server. So we have a software bundle, software called WAMP, right? WAMP is an acronym of Windows, Apache, MySQL, PHP, right? WAMP, W-A-M-P, Windows, Apache, MySQL, PHP. So it's a bundled software. So whenever you are installing XAMPP, the XAMPP is installing on Windows. The platform is Windows. We are having Windows. It is installing a server setup, server software called Apache. Apache is a one kind of server. So it's creating a local server environment by installing Apache. Then it's installing the database management system, DBMS system, RDBMS system, relational database management system, that is MySQL, right? And thirdly, it is installing PHP, the backend scripting language. So it's a bundled software, right? So this WAMP is for Windows. we are having same software. The name is LAMP, LAMP for Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, right? And we are having a new, not new. It's a combination of both of these, and the name of that software is XAMPP. XAMPP. X means any platform, like Linux, Windows, every platform. Apache, A for Apache, M for MySQL. Now we are having two P's at the end. It's not one P. One is PHP, one is Perl. Don't need to know about Perl right now. So that is the full form of XAMPP. So XAMPP is also a bundled software, and we are going to use the XAMPP itself because it's a platform independent software. So this is the official website of XAMPP. I'm sending you in the chat box. So after you click on this, a file will be downloaded, and so suppose, let me show you. See, a file is getting downloaded. That is 150 MB. It's a huge file, big file, so I don't want to download it right now. After downloading, when you just double click on this file, a setup wizard will open, and if you keep following the steps, the XAMPP will be got installed. It's a simple, it's a more simpler than installing a game, right? So that is the XAMPP. Now let's see the XAMPP control panel, right? This is called XAMPP control panel, right? Now see, we are having Apache, that is the server module, MySQL, that is a RDBMS. Next, FileZilla. FileZilla is a file transfer protocol client, right? I am not going to describe about FileZilla because it's a little bit advanced concept. Let's bound to MySQL and PHP today. Mercury. Tomcat is a server which helps us to run Java codes, right? So if we are creating the backend scripting with Spring Boot framework, we have to run that thing in Tomcat, not in Apache, right? So these are the things. Now, when you will open this XAMPP control panel, you will see that all these things are like this, right? Nothing is running. We have to run the Apache server. So suppose before running, what will happen? Let me go to the browser. So if you want to access the server, you have to type localhost, right? Like this. Localhost. See, this site cannot be reached. Why? Because the server is not started. So if we start the server, see, we got this page. It means the server is running, right? Next, MySQL. So if you want to access the database management system, you have to write like this: localhost php my admin, right? php my admin. Access denied. Why access denied? Because we have not started it yet, right? So let's start it. So our server is running, our SQL or our database management system is also running, right? Yeah. Now if we go for php my admin, see, this is our GUI version of MySQL. So as because you guys are growing, you guys are becoming more expert, these things needs to be known that everything can be done from command prompt, right? Or the PowerShell or whatever kind of disk operating system you're using, right? We can actually create MySQL databases, write PHP codings and all those kind of stuff from the command prompt, right? And when you will become expert, you have to do this thing, because when you're going for server management, you will not get PHP my admin and all those kind of stuff. And even in production, if you are using PHP my admin, that will be very much less secure. Your database can be hacked at any point of time. So we have to write codes, create tables, and all those kind of stuff from the command prompt in the server, because most of the cases the server runs on Linux, right? Anyways, so yeah, so this is the, these all are single databases, right? Now tell me, what is a database? What is a database? Anybody? What is a database? I want answers. You can raise your hands or something like that, or you can comment it down. So what is a database? Okay, take 1 to 2 minutes maximum and tell me what is a database. Great, got many answers. So now they got activated. Fantastic. So in database we store data. A database is a collection of interrelated data which are stored in a structured manner. A database is a place where data is stored. In database we store, detain a very structured manner. Okay, a database is an organized collection of structured information or data that is stored electronically in a computer system. Database is an organized collection of data stored and accessed. So these all are definition from books. In simple words, one line, database is nothing but collection of tables. और कुछ नहीं होता database के अंदर. Database is nothing but interrelated collection of tables. The tables are interrelated with relationships. So interrelated collection of tables, right? Your answer is not wrong, but it's a bookish answer. If you want to memorize and understand the thing in the practical approach, a database is nothing but collection of tables, different tables, right? Which are interrelated with different relationship. Now tell me, what is a table? I will ask lots of questions today because this session is something which is very common. Everybody know about PHP, Laravel, PHP, web development, and all this kind of stuff. But the thing is, the way you know this thing, that needs to be changed if you really want to make a career in this domain. So that's why I will ask several questions so that I can actually pinpoint where the problem is, where the learning is not happening in an industrial way, right? So what is a table? Who can answer this? What is a table? I hope database is clear. The database is nothing but collection of tables. Now what is a table? In simple way, not the definition, book is definition. In a simple way, what is a table? Fantastic, fantastic. A table is a structure that stores data in the form of columns and rows. So let's start from the beginning. Database is collection of tables. Table is a collection of rows and columns. Now tell me what we call these rows and columns. This rows has a name, this column has a name. What we call these rows and columns? What do we call these rows and columns? Yeah, it's a matrix with respect to mathematics, but I'm asking about in web technology how we actually interpret these things. Cell, according to Excel, it's a cell, but not as a database. Fantastic. So row equals to records and columns equals to attributes, right? Let's go back to our database to understand the thing why we are calling it a record and a attribute. Suppose we are having a database, this one, and having a table within this, that is my guest, right? So this MyDB is the database which is having only one table. We can have multiple tables, and the name is my guest, right? Now if I open this particular table, see we are having ID, that is the first column. Forget about it, I will explain this thing, what is ID, what is primary key, foreign key. Next column is first name. So it is a database where we are storing it is a table where we are storing the guest's details, right? What details we are collecting? One is file name, one is last name, one is email, and registration date. It means when that we are getting the timestamp. Timestamp means the whole date and the whole time when this particular record, when this particular data got inserted, right? So it means this is the time when these people registered in the portal, right? So we are having first name. So this is called a column, right? This whole from top to bottom, this first name is a column, this last name is a column, this email is a column, this registration date is a column, and this particular row, this particular horizontal line is called the record, because see all the columns is actually giving you different parameter to understand one single entity. In our case, the entity is guest. So if you want to describe a guest, you need first name, you need last name, you need email address, right? And we are getting all these single parameters from single columns. That's why each column is called the attribute of this entity, right? So first name is a attribute, last name is a attribute, email is a attribute, right? Now why we are calling it a record? Because this horizontal line is giving you all the attributes for a single object of the entity. It means one single horizontal line is one single guest's information. That's why it's a record, one single record, right? So if somebody asks you what is table, you can say it's a collection of rows and columns. You can also say it's collection of records, because in table you are getting several records listed one after another, right? So I hope we are clear with attributes and data. Any question from here? Any question from here? Okay, fine. Now if we want to delete the data, we can delete it from here individually, single. You can select data like this and take bulk action, delete. So it's saying that you are deleting these IDs. Yeah, we are deleting. Yes. So these all are deleted. Now if you want that you want to delete, just delete the full table, not the table, all the data in the table, right? So we have to go to operations. So there are two options. One is empty the table, that is called truncate. One is delete the table, that is called drop. So can anybody let me understand the difference between empty the table and delete the table in a very simple way, not definitions, very simple way. What is the difference between emptying a table and deleting a table? Because I was when I was in at your age, I used to think both are the same thing. So that's why I'm asking these questions, and I'm trying to uh, clear the questions that I used to have in my mind, right? So that's why I'm asking this question: how this emptying the table and deleting the table are different from each other? Okay, empty indicates clearing of data in table, and what does dropping a table means or deleting a table means? Anybody? Deleting indicates clearing entire row or column of table. So deleting means the table is not existing, right? And emptying means the table and the attribute structure will be there, but all the records will be deleted, right? Exactly. Delete means no table will be there. So let's get this idea. Suppose we are emptying the table. Now if we go to my guest, there is nothing, right? Only the attributes are there, attributes names are there, right? Let's insert data again. Let me insert the datas. Just a second. Yeah. So I am inserting datas again. How these things are happening, I will show you. But for the time being, we need data to see. Okay, now we are having again 5 datas. Now if we want to delete the table, if we go and delete the table, look at the left hand side, we are having my guest, right? After deleting, it will not be there. See, now MyDB is having no tables. Clear? Any question from here? So this is the difference between truncating a table and dropping a table. Truncate means emptying the table and dropping means deleting the table. Fantastic. Now few other things are there. Search, query, export, import. So operations. Okay, we are not having a table, right? So we will get back to this database part later on. Right now I'm starting with the PHP part and show you few things with the PHP so that you can get an interest and can relate with the database and the PHP thing, right? So let's get back to here, right? Okay, before that I just want to show you the structure of the XAMPP. So after installing the XAMPP, you can get this folder like this, like right, where in whichever drive you have saved XAMPP. After opening it, you can see there are several files. So don't be afraid, you don't need all those files. You just need to get into htdocs, right? Within htdocs, each folder is a single project, right? So I have created a folder called test. Clear? Suppose I am creating a new folder, new test, right? And if I want to access this particular folder from my server, what I need to do, I need to go over here and write down like this: localhost new test. See what we are getting over here. This is the listing of all the files in that folder, right? If we give something else than new test for testing, suppose new test 1, it will give not found. Yeah, so it is giving not found because we have changed the URL. So the URL is coming from the folder name, right? Now when we are actually trying to open this web app, what is happening? There is no file within this web app, right? Nothing is there. That's why it's showing just file structure. Now what will happen if I create some file over here? Suppose I am creating a new file named index dot uh, php, not index, let's keep it origins.php, and I am writing something. So we come to MAKAUT, right? MAKAUT, and every PHP line should be ended with semicolons, right? And PHP code should be within this particular frame, right? Angular bracket, question mark, PHP, and it will close at question mark and closing angular bracket. Clear? Now save this. Now if I go and open new test, what will happen? What will happen if I open the new test? If I refresh the page? Anybody can say me? What will happen? Anybody? What will happen? If we refresh the page, if we refresh this page, what will happen? Any guesses? There is no right or wrong. Guess it. What will happen if I refresh the page? Because right now we are having a file within this folder that is called origins.php, right? But still, if we refresh the page, what will happen? Anybody? The program is removed. Which program? Didn't get you. Anybody else? Okay, so let's see it. What will happen? If we refresh the page, it is showing there is a file origins.php. But is it like happen to be like that? Like if we go to facebook.com, is it showing us the files and we choose the file? Not really. What happens, it shows a web page. So we expected that whatever we have written in origins.php, that needs to be shown, but this will not happen. Why? Can anybody tell me why it's not showing the web page, rather it's showing the folder structure? Any idea why it's happening? Anyone? This is a very important question for your interviews as well. Interviews, and when you are doing certain new things, this is a very important question. That why it's showing the folder structure, not the, because we have started the server and we are running it from the server, still it's not showing the page. Why? What happened? Why you guys became inactive? Anybody? Why it's happening? Why we couldn't see the image, as see the file details? Okay, so the reason behind it, this is mandatory thing that your whole folder structure should have a index.php or index.html file, because by default a server first runs a index.php file. So if we change the name of the file we have created, that is origin.php, so what will happen right now, if I click on origin.php, it will show certain output, right? But we want that output when we are hitting this particular URL, right? So let's go and change the name of this file. Let's change the name of this file. Index.php, right? Now let's go. See, as because that's the default behavior. So when we are having a index.php file, the server is running that file directly. But if we don't have an index.php file, then the server will show all the available file list. Clear to everybody? This is a very important concept. Okay, fine. So next, so this is a very simple PHP program where we are echoing a text, right? Echo means it's like print. Whatever we will put within this echo brackets, it will print that thing. Suppose we can also print, like suppose we are taking a variable called a equals 5, b equals 3, and result equals a plus $b, and we are actually printing the result dollar result, right? Now if we go and do it, see, it's giving us the output, right? Fine. Now try to figure out that there are several new things, right? So this a and b are nothing but variables. I hope everybody know about variables, right? But see the difference, that we are not actually giving any data type to the variables. Why? Because PHP is a loosely coupled language. Loosely coupled language, it means that you don't need to specify the data type. The data type will be defaultly picked from the data. Whatever kind of data you are putting over there, that will define the data type of the variable. We don't need to explicitly give the data types. And this dollar is a syntax that when we are creating a variable, we have to accompany the variable name with a dollar, right? So this is nothing but variable declaration. So in C we used to do like int a equals to 5, int b equals to 3. So these two lines means the same thing. Now this line is simple additional operation, you know. And on the last line, what we are doing, we are actually printing, echoing a variable rather than a static text. Clear, everybody? Clear, everybody? Great. So this is the echo part. Now what else we do with echo? Let's see what else we can do with echo. It's very interesting part. Right. What will happen if we just update the page? What will happen? Anybody? If we update the page, what will happen? What output will get? And everybody needs to be active. This is a session where I will ask lots of questions, so you have to be active. It's not like 2-3 people will answer all the questions. Everybody needs to be active. So what the output will get if we refresh the page right now? Anybody? There should be a colon, right? Okay. Yeah, you are right. I missed it. There should be a colon, not colon, semicolon. So my question was, what will be the output if we run this thing? What will be the output? Like we will see the code written within the echo, like h1 tag and all the things, and then h1 tag close. We will see this thing, or we are going to see a output enabled with the h1 tag, like we used to see in HTML, CSS. Okay, so let's see that. What happened? We got a HTML output. So even if you are printing something through echo, when the server, when the client, the browser is rendering it, it is reading it like a HTML thing, because browser don't understand anything except HTML and CSS and JavaScript, right? So that's how we can stuff our HTML codes within PHP, right? And why we'll do it? Suppose you want to make this thing 5 times for any reasons, right? You couldn't do it with HTML. You have to make copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and that will make the thing very clumsy, right? And very difficult to debug and all those kind of stuff. What I will do, while x less than 5, $x plus and I have to declare the x outside, x equals to 0, right? Fine. If we run this thing, what will happen? If we run this code, what will happen? Any guesses? It will display the statement 5 times. Fantastic. So as it is a loop, and the loop is starting from 0, and we are giving a condition that the variable loop variable needs to be less than 5, and we are creating an increment. So what is $x plus plus? Anybody, what is $x plus plus? This one, $x plus plus. Increment by 1. So $x plus plus means $x equals to $x plus 1. It's an increment by 1 unit, right? So we are getting 5 iterations, and in each iterations this echo is actually printing this line. So what will happen? We'll get 5 outputs. See, we are getting 5 outputs, right? फीडबैक में लिंक एवरीडे सेशन खत्म होने के बाद 6:45 को मिलता है, आज भी वही मिलेगा, एंड इसका सर्टिफिकेट भी दिया जाएगा फ्रॉम योर यूनिवर्सिटी, राइट? एनीबॉडी हैज दिस क्वेश्चंस? दिस इज द ओनली क्वेश्चन दे हैव, so I gave the answer. Write it down and don't forget. Anyways, so let's get back. This is a headline. Fine. So this is how we can actually iterate, actually render HTML element in real time. It means we have not written h1 statement for 5 times in the file, but it is getting written when we are actually running the program. So let's go and check the backend. So if I go and check the code, you can see the HTML thing is written 5 times, but we have written only 1 time, and it is done by the loop, right? Okay. Now, so this is how we can actually create other things as well. So how actually things happens? Suppose we are HTML head body. Within the body we can frame this. That's how things are. What is this? Now if you view the page source, see all the other things we have written. The only part, this part is actually generated by the PHP. So that's why the backend scripting language is used for doing CRUD operation. I will show you what is the CRUD operation. CRUD operation on the database, and secondly to render HTML and CSS in real time, right? Because it is rendering in real time, it is not pre-written. Next, get into some interesting thing in PHP. Okay, so let's understand this thing. We have worked with forms in HTML, CSS, right? So this is the basic structure of a HTML file. We just need to create, right? Within the body, we are creating a form. So the syntax is like this. It starts with form and it will close on form, and in between we have several input fields, and from the type it is decided which kind of input fields is that, right? Like it is a text field. Input type, it is a text field because this is a name and email and all those kind of stuff, right? And input type submit, it means it's a button which will be used to submit the thing. Is it clear so far? Everybody understood how the form is created? Any question from the form? Okay, great. Now this form is having two attributes within it. So we had attributes in HTML, we had attributes in database. So quick question, what is the difference between the attribute in HTML? What is the difference between the what is attribute in HTML? What is attribute in database? Because I am clicking this question so that your mind can register that there are several ambiguities, but those are not same things, and you don't get confused, right? So that's why my question is, what is attribute in HTML? What is attribute in database? And you have to answer. This is not a I'm giving 2 minutes and I want at least 5 answers, right? So what is the attribute in HTML and what is the attribute in database? And I want answer, 5 answers, then I will resume. 2 minutes time. What is attribute in database? Only one answer so far. What is attribute in database? What is attribute in HTML? We got 2 3 answers. So attribute in HTML, I have already told that attendance link, feedback, certification will be after this event, and this event will be run for 7 till 7 o'clock, right? And I'm not going to answer this question again. So please listen, everybody, that the attendance link, certificate, and feedback link will be given at the end of this session. So right now, please concentrate on what I am teaching. Fine. So let's get back to here. Fine. Now these two things, this form tag have two attributes. One is action, one is method. What is action? Action means So if we run this particular page, just let me run this thing. Suppose we are running this test, only test. So this is the form we have created, right? It's not looking good because right now we are working on the back end, not the front end. If we add CSS and other HTML elements, it will look good. So this is two input boxes, one button, right? Now, when I am writing Arijit and giving a mail address like asd@gmail.com, right? After I submit, when we submit, we have to send this data. So this is the front end. We have to send this data to the PHP script, which will work with this data. So that is the action. It means after submitting the button, the data of these two input fields will be sent to welcome.php file. So we are having a welcome.php file over here, right? Next is method. Method means in which method the data will go. It can go in post, it can go in get, put. There are several methods, right? But today we are going to describe only the get and post. So here we have written post method, right? Fine. So if we submit this, what will happen? See, now we are into welcome.php. We are not on the same page. The page redirected to welcome.php and it's showing the fields you have given, the data you have given, right? Now let's go and understand what we have written in welcome.php. So from index.php, we are sending the data through the form and the welcome.php is catching it. How? These are normal text. The main thing is happening within this. So we have enclosed this thing within this PHP tag and this thing because it's a PHP code, and this is called a super global, right? Super global variable $_post. So when we are sending data through post method, we have to receive the data with this global array. It is an array of what? If we go back to index.php, we are sending two data. One is name, email. We can send several other data, right? And those data will be collected, will be received by the post method, and this name is coming from the name attribute of the input fields. If we change this one, suppose we are changing this one, first name, F name, right? What will happen if we go back and again submit the same thing? Just a second. So it's not about only learning the concepts, it's also about learning the errors. What this error is saying, what do you understand about this error? It's saying undefined array key name, right? Why? Because we have, okay, I got some questions, I think, and database keep table away. Oh, fine. No. So this particular error is saying that there is no element in the array whose key is name. Why we are saying it's a key? Because it's an associative array. Tell me one thing, how many of you know about array? Do you have idea about array? What is the array? Everybody have idea about array? Otherwise I will explain that thing. You can write yes or no so that I can understand how many of you know about it. Little bit, sir. Okay. Okay. So array is nothing but it's a derivative data type where we can store multiple data. Like in an integer, you can store only one integer, but in a integer array, you can store multiple integers, right? But the thing is, so let's check. So suppose we are having an array with 5 elements, right? The array will look like this. Suppose 12, 45, 80, 98, 78, and 90. And all these array elements is having an index number, right? Index number means, so from this part we are saying that this array will have 5 elements, but suppose I want to get access this one. How I will access? I will access like this. Error 4. Error 4 means 90. Why error 4? Because the array index starts from 0. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So that these are the values of the room, and the name of the room is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if we want to get this one, so this is 4. So array 4 means 90, right? So if we say array 2, what will be the value? If we say array 2, what will be the value? Exactly. Array 2 means the value is 98. Fantastic. So this is the concept of array. Now what is the associative array? Associative array is a key value pair. It means associative array is like this. Suppose let's get only 2 elements. Suppose if name name right? So associative array means where the key is not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Key means the room numbers are not 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 are not integers. Rather, those are also string. So the first room name for this array is F name. Second room name is L name, right? So if we want to access this origin, so if I write like this, error if name, that means origin, right? So this is called associative array. Now why I was teaching you associative array? Because this post global array is nothing but an associative array. And if we just print the associative array, let me just show you. If we just print the whole array, what will happen? I don't know whether it will let us print it or not. Just let me check. Just a second. Just a second. Let's make it name as well, otherwise it will throw an error. and this will be print R. See, see, now it seems, it looks like this one, right? So we are printing the whole post array, and it is coming up in a key value pair, and the keys are nothing but the name of the input fields we have provided. So check name and email. So these are the key name of every element in the post variable, right? Post global variable. Here everybody, any question from here? Now if we want to access any of them, let's submit again. Oh. We submit again, we are getting the first key name is name, second key name is email, right? If we change on the index page, then this name will be changed, right? Now what is a post method, what is a get method? Any question so far? I hope there is no question. Anyways, so when we are sending something through the post method, it is more secure. Why it is more secure? Because when we are so when we are using post method, the data is getting written in the HTTP header. It means when we are sending, when we are communicating through web, we use a protocol that is called HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol. Now this protocol has different method for transmission of data, and post and get are the most used methods, right? In case of post, what happens, the data you are sending is appended within the HTTP header that the user cannot see, the hacker cannot see, right? But in case of get method, what will happen, the data will be appended with the URL. Let's check it. Suppose I am changing this one method. I change the method as get is less secure, right? Now if I go and do the same thing, we are getting array undefined. Why we are getting this error? Anybody can say this? Why we are getting this error? Why the array is undefined? We have given the name, we have sent the data, we have received the data. What is the problem? Why we are getting this error? Anyone? Any idea why we are getting this error? Anybody else? Akram is not having any idea. Anybody else? Why we are getting this error? Because if you want to be a developer, really a developer, your most fascinating thing in your life should be errors. Because if you are working on backend, your life is full of errors, and you have to say, I think some data is missing. No, data are not missing. The whole global variable is missing. Why? Because we have previously we have sent the data through post method, right? That's why we are receiving the data in the post global array. But right now we are sending the data through the get method. So the post array is not existing, right? So we have to get this thing with get method. Same way, just this post will be replaced with get. Get, this post also replaced with get, is also replaced with get. Now let's get back. See, the output is here. Clear? So if you are getting this kind of errors, this means somehow you are having mismatching methods. So the the way you are receiving the data and the way you are sending the data is not same. Anyways, so the main important point what I was trying to show you in the get and post method. So in case of post method, it this part was not there in the URL. In case of get method, the data what we have sent is getting attached with the URL. It means anybody can see it, the user can see it, anybody can hack it, right? So in case of password and all kind of credential related data needs to be sent through post method, and all normal data that is not authentication data that can be sent through get method. Clear? Clear? Post and get method. Okay. Now see how this thing has been created, right? Let's bring it on the table and understand this thing. What is this? This is the first variable. This is the key name equals to value. Now this is the first part, first variable. Clear? This is the first variable, and all the variables will be connected with and, right? So there is a and in between, and this is the next variable whose key is email equals to the value. Now can anybody tell me why we are getting this part? Because we have written a proper email address kind of stuff, a@gklj.com. Why we are getting percentage 40? What is the meaning of it? Anybody? Why we are getting this percentage 40 in spite of at the rate? Any idea? Okay, so this is called escaping characters. It means in case of URL appending, we have to substitute special characters with few numbers, right? Like space, at the rate, hash, all these kind of signs are equal to few kind of numbers that is predefined, and that will be substituted. And at the rate, according to that chart, at the rate equals to percentage 40, right? That's why the at the rate was substituted with percentage 40. Clear? But if we are sending the data through post method, this kind of URL data appending will not happen. That's why post is a secure method. I hope it is clear that what is post method, get method, and how to send data from a form to a PHP script. Now next, the interesting part, how to actually connect this PHP with the database, right, and do certain things. So okay, yeah, see, let's start with this one. Yeah. So how to connect with a database? So we need to know about three variables. The first one is server name. This is a simple variable, and the name can be anything, right? Just the thing is, we have to use this variable over here, right? And as because this is a server name, so we have given a meaningful name, server name. It can be anything. We just need to substitute. If we are changing this one, we have to change this one as well, right? So this is a simple variable, string variables, right? So the server name is localhost because we are having a local server. Username is root because that is the default username for database. So if we go back to the database, just see user root @localhost. So my default user, I have logged in with root, and my user is not having any password, right? So that's why I have given username as root. These are simple strings, and password null because there is no password, right? Now this is the line which is responsible to make the connection with the database. Clear? This is a function, predefined function that can be used to connect with MySQL database, right? The function is mysqli underscore connect, and we are passing variables as server name, username, password, and all those kind of stuff. These are the three variables. We can also pass a fourth variable, that is the database name. We will get into that thing. Now check connection. If so, this con is the variable, right? This is the con variable. This is called the object of the database, object of the query we are running. That is the MySQL connect. So this is the connection object, right? So we are checking whether this connection object. So there is a exclamation mark. So it means if connection object is 0, it will make it 1. It means if the connection object is not defined, it means this line didn't executed. This line didn't executed, so it will die. Die means it will stop executing all the other codes just downside of it, right? So it will just exit the code. So it is saying if the connection has not been made, then die and print connection failed dot mysqli underscore connect underscore error function. This function will return whatever kind of error happened over here, right? And if it's dying, then this will not be printed, right? Because it's exiting from here, from this line itself, right? But if the con is having a value, then this part will not execute, this part will execute, and it will say connected successfully. That's how we make a connection with a database. Any question from here? Because this is a very crucial thing. If you know how to connect with database, you can do several interesting stuff. Any question from here? Everything is clear? Any questions? Okay, fine. So if we run this particular code, what will happen? Let me just show you. It's the db connect procedure, right? db connect procedure. See, Yeah. So it is saying connected successfully, right? So let's do some error and see what is happening. Suppose I am giving a password. Right? Let's try to connect again. Access denied for user root at the localhost using password yes in at line and all those kind of stuff. Access denied for root localhost using password yes. Why? Because there is no password. So this, if you are getting this kind of errors, this means that somehow the password is mismatching. Next, suppose I am changing the username. Root origins and localhost and access same thing. Suppose I am missing this part. It shouldn't take, but it's still taking because maybe we are not having a password. That's why. Just let me check. If we delete this one, what will happen? Yeah, yeah. So the user is missing because we have not sent the user. Now, fine. This is the last line where we are using a close function to close the connection with the database. So this is only the making the connection. We have not done anything with the database so far. This is the connection of the database, right? This is how you can create a database connection. So this is the MySQLi procedural way. There are 3 ways we can do the same thing. This is the PDO way. In this way also we can do the same thing. We can connect with the database. And this is the this is a connection object, right? This is the object oriented way of doing the same thing. Now next we are going to create a DB. What is creating a DB? This part is same, server name, localhost, root, con. This part is also same. Till this place everything is same. Now what we are doing, we are creating a database, and this is the code for it. Now let's check what is this. Let's go to our server, right? Databases. Now this is the place where I can run SQL queries. Now if I write this one, what will happen? Suppose I am giving some other name like MAKAUT test DB, right? If I run this, what will happen? It will create a database, hopefully. Created, see, there is a database created. We are doing the same thing because if you want to create a software, you cannot get into the backend again and again and create the databases, tables, and all those kind of stuff. So we need to know how we can actually access the database. We can actually execute database queries through PHP, and that's what we are learning right now. So this line is nothing but, this SQL is nothing but a variable, and this is nothing but a string, right? This is a simple string. It can be anything. We have just written the SQL query over here. This line is doing nothing. It is actually assigning this string to the $SQL variable. Next, what we are doing, within the if clause, we are running this query. To run this query, this is the command, right? Control Z, Control C. So this is the query. So this is the connection variable we have used over here, and with arrow function we are accessing the function query and sending the SQL query as a parameter, and that will run the SQL query. So now we are actually running the query, right? Fantastic. If this triple equals to true, in PHP triple equals to means equals to. So if this happens, then it will say that echo database created successfully. It means database created because it's true. If it's false, it will say error creating database. Then $con error. It means it will tell whatever kind of error has been occurred, right? let's go and try this out. Okay. Want to see. Oh, sorry. We have to keep the extension. See, let make it a little bit more legible and run the same thing. It's saying connected successfully. It means the database connection with the PHP is okay, but error creating database. Can't create database or it is DB. Database exists. What this means? So MySQLi connect. Okay. So what MySQLi connect returns? Okay. Okay. So if you want to see that thing, I can show you if it's available to show. Print R. So print R means printer is a magic function, right? It will help you to print anything. If you go with echo will not help you to let you print objects and other things, but print R will help you to print anything in raw format. That's why R, right? So if we print, we get to know. Just a second, yeah. So this is what you are getting as a return. So from here, you are getting an associative array as a return, as a MySQL object. Am I clear, Akram? Am I clear to you? Yeah, great. Yeah, so the thing is, what is happening? There is already an existing DB named origins.db. So if we need to check it, we'll go and check whether we are having a same name DB. Yes, we are having origins DB. That's why it's not getting created. It's giving an error, and the error is saying that database already exists. Let's go and change the name of this DB. New MAKAUT DB, right? Let's run the program again. Database created successfully. Now, if we go back, we can see new MAKAUT DBs here. It means we have created the database using PHP. This is the first step as a developer. I felt like splendid for the day I really did this like 7-8 years ago, when actually this connection was made and the data started getting into the database. That was a pleasure moment. I hope everybody who has a passion for web technology, they can also feel it. Anyways, so this is how we can actually create a database using PHP commands, right? Next is, okay, MySQL connected successfully here. Okay, next part is we can actually understand insert demo data. So I was talking about CRUD operation from the first day of web designing and web development, right? From the last day. So why CRUD operation? What is CRUD operation? CRUD operation means create, retrieve, update, delete, right? Create means you are inserting data in a database, in a table actually. Or retrieve means you are retrieving, you are bringing the data from the database to PHP. That is called retrieving. So CRU means update. Update means you are not actually creating a new data, you are changing certain attribute of the existing data. That is called update. And the last one is delete. Delete means you are deleting a record or multiple records. Now give me example from whatever you use, whatever software you use, where you have seen the update operation, where you have seen the insert operation, where you have seen the create operation, where you have seen the retrieve operation, where you have seen the delete operation. Can you give me small example that in this particular feature the update operation is happening, in this particular feature the delete operation is happening? Anybody can give few examples of this crude operation? Okay, take 2 minutes and give me example of create, retrieve, update, delete from your day-to-day life from all the softwares you are using. I need answer from everybody. We all are using softwares every day, right? So we have to encounter this crude operation. So crude means create, retrieve, update, delete. Create means we are inserting data to the database. Retrieve means we are fetching data from the database. Update means we are changing an attribute of any records, existing records, and deleting means deleting a record. So give me example of each one of these four that you have encountered in your real life. What happened? Everybody is sleeping? Don't know. So let me write over here crude operation, create, retrieve, update, and delete. Anybody? You can actually unmute and speak as well, or you can raise your hand so that you can be allowed to speak. Okay, let me explain. I don't know, maybe you guys are sleeping. Okay, so for example, suppose you were going to a social media for the first time. Now that social media will take few information from you for registration purpose, and after clicking on registration, the thing what is happening is create operation. They are actually inserting your data in the database, right? Next, when you are going back to that social media and try to log in, you give your username, password, and login. What will happen? This username and the password will be sent to the backend scripting, the PHP language, Now this PHP language will not send that data to the table. Rather, the PHP will go to the database and find whether there is a username of this kind or not. If it's there, it will fetch the data to the PHP script and check whether the password related with that username is equals to the password you have given or not. This is the algorithm of login, right? Here the retrieve operation is happening. The data is getting fetched from the database, or in certain case, suppose after logging in you get into the profile section of your profile, right? You will see that your name, your designation, whatever kind of data you have given is shown over there. That is also happening for the retrieve operation. The data is getting fetched from the database to PHP, and the PHP is sending all the data to the HTML and CSS, and they are showing that data, right? So this is the retrieve operation. Next is update operation. Update means, it means you are updating data of a existing record, right? Existing record. That is update operation. So example of that update operation is like change password. Suppose you are changing the password, it's not creating a new record for you, it's actually editing your previous record and changing the password field. That is the update operation. And delete operation, suppose you are deleting your profile or something like that, where every data will be deleted or something like that, that is the delete operation. So these are the 4 ऑपरेशन दैट कैन बी परफॉर्म्ड ऑन डेटाबेस. इसके बाहर और कोई ऑपरेशंस नहीं होता. हाँ, कुछ एडवांस ऑपरेशंस है, दैट इज कॉल्ड जॉइनिंग ऑपरेशन, बट दैट इज आल्सो यूजिंग दिस थिंग, सिलेक्ट एंड ऑल दिस काइंड ऑफ स्टफ, राइट? Now I will show you that how these things are happening in the database. Okay, so suppose we are having just a second. So yeah, we have to create the table. Now we have to learn how to create the table, because we don't have the table, otherwise I cannot perform those operations. So let's get back and see table. Yeah, create table. So this is the create table part, right, where we are using the server name as localhost, username as root, password blank, and DB name mydb, because we are already having a DB called mydb, right? And that is a blank one. Now we are making the connection new MySQL server name, username, password, DB name, right? So it is got connected not with the database database management system, it directly connected with the DB, accurate DB. Next, it's taking the connection and all those kind of stuff. Now this whole thing is also a string, right, which is actually be used as a SQL query. So what is happening over here? Create table, right? These are keywords, then the table name, my guests, within brackets we are, so let's take it to the MySQL and see what is happening. MyDB, create table my guest, right? Create table my guest, ID int ID means the name of the attribute, int means the type of the attribute, this is the number of digit acceptable. Unsigned, this is something related to data type. I don't have time to get into this unsigned thing. It means unsigned means positive only, right? It's not negative, is not allowed. Auto increment. Why auto increment? Because when you will see, just sorry, yeah, so when you will see this when we are entering data in the table, the ID field will be auto incremented. It means we are not having, just a second, see, we don't have any ID, we don't have any yeah, so we don't have any ID, we are just sending the data points, and the ID is auto incremented 1, 2, 3, 4. It's happening automatically, right? So that's why it's auto increment. Primary key. Do anybody have any idea what is primary key? What is the primary key? Any idea what is a primary key? Okay, so primary key is a single attribute that can help you to distinguish each and every records. It means that we will have first name, last name, email, right? But this can be ambiguous. It means somebody can have same first name, same last name, right? Or same email or something like that. That's why we have to keep a field named ID that will auto increment. It means two people, two records cannot have same ID. So those attributes which can actually help us to distinguish two records uniquely, that is called a primary key. So ID is the primary key. So we are defining ID as a primary key because it's an auto increment value. It can never possible to have same ID in two records, right? Next, first name. This is the name of the attribute. Worker means variable alphanumeric values, and the length of that thing is 30. Not null. Can you understand anything from this word not null? What is the meaning of not null? Anybody? Why we are writing not null? Non-zero? No, not null means null, and null not equals to zero. Null means void, nothing. Zero is also a value, right? Null means nothing. So it's saying that when you are creating a new record, you cannot left those field blank. You need to put certain thing over there. That's why not null, right? At least containing something. Exactly, at least containing something. Zero is also a value. It can be zero as well. Zero is also is not a null value. So this first name and last name is not null. It means these things, this first name and last name needs to be given while we are inserting data into this table. And the last one is email worker 50, same thing. Rage date, this is the name of the attribute. Timestamp default, it means the type of this data is timestamp. Timestamp means complete date, complete time. Next is current timestamp. It means it is getting data automatically. You don't need to put the data. Whenever you are performing an insert operation, it will get the current timestamp. Current means the system time. On update current timestamp, it means whenever this particular record, any record will be updated, the current timestamp will be updated along with it, right? So this is the whole query. Now let's get back to this part. So this is the whole query. Now we will run this. See, a table created, and we are having ID, first name, last name, email, registration date. If we see the structure, see there is a key sign just after ID. That means it's a primary key. There is another concept called foreign key. As because I couldn't get into the primary key much and we are not having time, I couldn't get into that stuff. But you can go and check about foreign key. That is a primary key which is used in some other fields is called a foreign key, right? So these are two very important concepts to build a relationship between different tables. Fine. So this is the my guest table and this is the structure, but we don't have any data. Now we have created this table through PHP MyAdmin, but that is not our purpose. We wanted to create the table through PHP, right? So right now we again don't have any data. Let's get back to the place. From this part, we are doing the same thing we have done for creating the DB. We are using this SQL statement in the query function and checking whether it's true or not. Then it's saying table my guest created successfully. Error creating table or something like that. right? So now let's run it. Create table function, sorry, create table page, create table dot php. Table my guess created successfully. Let's go and check whether we got the table or not. Yeah, so we got the table, and this table is created using the php. Now I will show you the last thing for today, last two things for today. uh, Insert demo data. You can insert data from two places. One is you can get data direct from user through forms. Another is for your work purpose or doing certain making some other modules or something like that. Sometimes you need to fill data in the database, demo data, right? So how we are filling data, we all know about this part right now because we have done it for 3-4 times. This part we also know, this is a variable and this is a string. This string is used to insert data in a database. Insert into, these are keywords we cannot change. Then the table name, then the attributes name that needs to be sent. Not all the attributes. You can see id and regex is not here. It means those are auto filled attributes. That's why you don't need to put their names over here. Then values means which value for these attributes you are going to put. John Doe, john@example.com. Now we are doing the same thing. MySQL query, con and SQL, new record created successfully, and all this kind of stuff. So let's check it out. Insert demo data. We don't have any data so far. Insert demo data .php, new record successfully. If we go and check, we can see that some data has been entered, right? Now we can change the value and insert again. Like we can make it origin, we can make it so Hajra. Then we can again run this script. See, another value. Clear? That's how we can send data to databases. Clear? Now if you ask me how to retrieve data, just let me check whether I can show you that thing right now or not. Okay, suppose data equals to select star from my guests, right? This is query 2. In we got data equals MySQL query on SQL query 2 and then print underscore r data. So in this part, in only these 3 lines, we are fetching the whole table data and showing it, right? So let's understand this thing. Yeah, so it's not giving error. Field count 5, number of rows 3. It is giving the object details, right? That's how we can bring data out of the database. Now the last thing, suppose you want to get 1,000 datas, right, to do certain things, but you don't have proper data right now. So what you need to do? You need to run a loop of insert operations, right? So we can actually create a loop through which we can enter 10,000, 20,000 data at a single point of time. So let's do it. Insert demo data. So see what I have done. So from here to here, you know about it. Now I am creating a variable x and giving a value 1, right? While x less than equals to 5, and putting the whole query thing within this thing, whole if else clause within this thing, and incrementing the value. So this particular loop will run for 5 times, as because it's starting from 1 and it's going to less than equals to 5, and the increment is happening, and every time this MySQL query operation will happen. So it will insert 5 data, right? As well as through this code we can understand what is the last data inserted, what is the ID of the last data inserted, what is the primary key of the last data inserted, right? So this is insert modal insert demo data loop, right? Let's do it. Insert demo data loop. Before running it, I'm showing you we are only having three datas. Now after I run this, we will have so many datas. Clear? So that's how database connection, CRUD operation, real-time HTML rendering happens through scripting language. Uh, I hope I have completed today's topic, whatever I have thought of completing. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask, or we can end today's session. And hopefully it will be useful for you to actually get into the web technology and do the backend stuff. But this core PHP is absolutely the basic. You have to understand the core PHP, but don't think learning and getting a certificate in core PHP will help you to get a job. You will not get a job with core PHP. Go and learn frameworks, build SaaS platform, do internships, build your own softwares that will give you a job. And if you can do these things and nobody is giving you job, you have project portfolio, come to me, I will give you job. If you can really show me and prove me that you have done all those things. If you are doing projects, I am telling you, you would never need to bother about work, bother about job, bother about business, right? But if you think that only attending certain things and getting a certificate will help me to get some points, get some marks, and that will help me to get a job, then you are living in a dream. In 21st century, this is not the case. Even if you are not having a certificate and come to me and show me that, sir, I have done this project, and I will ask few questions to check whether you have really done that project or not. If it's true, I will give you job. And not only me, there are several people who are willing to give you job. What's the problem happening? We have to understand that the students and the parents and all the people are telling that the college is not giving campusing, the companies are not good giving much salaries, and we are saying that we are looking for resources, we are not getting human resources who can actually work with us. So it means we are also suffering, you guys are also suffering. So it's not about pointing fingers to each other. It's the point where we have to understand where the gap is happening. The gap is happening because of the syllabus. What happens, the whole system is very big. It takes time to change, evolve, right? Because it's a big thing. We cannot imagine that those people who are actually managing universities, colleges, creating curriculums, they are having a hell lot of pressure in their mind. But what we can do as students and companies, we can connect to each other and understand that, okay, these companies or the recent trend is requiring these skills. Maybe those are not part of our syllabus, but right now education is available free of cost, open to everybody, or at very nominal cost. So go learn the technologies, implement the things, and do projects. Then you need to never worry about your jobs. But if you think getting a BTech certificate, getting a certificate of a training will help you to land upon a job, then you will land upon a BPO job. And nobody is responsible for it. You are the only person who is responsible for it, because I am making these things so much transparent that a blind can understand. Right? So now it's up to you what you want to do with your career. And I am not saying you have to come to me, come to Think Again Lab to learn it. Even if you can learn by your own self, that is also absolutely good. But the point is, you have to give semester, you have to do assignments, but the most important thing, you have to do internship, you have to do projects. If you're doing the last two things, nobody can stop you from getting a job. But it doesn't mean that you don't need to do the first two things, the semester and assignments. Those are also important, but only those two things cannot help you to get into a job. Your skills, your projects, your internship certificate are going to help you to get into a job. So from today, never ever say that there is unemployment, there is unemployability, there is a gap between the industry and academia that your university, our companies like us is trying to fulfill. Your university is helping us to give us the platform where we can actually help you to understand what is really happening in an industry, right? So in that regard, even if after all these things you guys are looking for only certificates, you guys are only attending for certain kind of attendance, then if you are not getting a job, it's sole responsibility of yours. Nobody is going to get the responsibility for this thing. Anyways, thank you so much. This is the end of the thing. If you have any questions, you can ask. Anybody have any questions, you can ask, or we can end the session. And from the team, MAKAUT team, it would be great if you can please share the feedback link and certification and all those kind of stuff they are looking for. When you will take another webinar, we will take another webinar on the next Monday. We do it on every Monday from 4 to 7, and we have this is the 9th one. We already have done 8, so you can go to MAKAUT YouTube channel and watch those webinars. We have done on artificial intelligence, rocket science, web designing, graphics design, digital media marketing, and many more. Thank you. Those are wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, ma'am, should I leave?
Yes, Origin.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye bye. Good night.
Yes, feedback
Yeah.
links are below. Please fill it up to get the certificate. Thank you, Origin, for the wonderful session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.